What is up, podheads? We are back, episode 53. I'm here, as always, with Anthony and Nate. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're listening to this podcast for some reason. So thank you.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah, I mean, you're calling us podheads. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, we're recording on 3/11 day, which this drops the Monday after, but we're recording on 3/11 day. We had to give it a mention. It is a big reason we're all together as friends. We kind of bonded over 3/11 20 years ago in high school. 3/11 day is a holiday for us every year. We all spun some version of their music today, I'm sure, and I love it. It brought me back.
Yeah, I spun sound system today, and it's funny how I have like three different pockets of friends that some of them, like you guys, I talk to a lot, but other pockets of friends I don't talk to all year, but I know I'll get a text at 3/11 day, happy 3/11 day. So it's cool. Like there's no other band that I'm getting, like I'm not getting happy Deftones or happy Crime and Stereo day text from anyone else. You know what I mean? It's 3/11 day, so it's a cult following.
yeah, it's cool. 311 has their own little tribute day every year. I've always wanted to go to that show. Neither of you guys have gone to that, right?
No.
No, I've never been.
Yeah, I've always wanted to check that out. I know we talked about it at length here on the podcast before, where they let that festival ride kind of at the beginning of COVID, which I thought was bizarre, but I guess it worked out. So
Yeah, and I mean it was we did talk about it a little bit on our first episode, and we just hit our 1 year this past Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
It's our 1 year anniversary. So Patio Slave is a year old now. But yeah, we talked about that 3/11 show going off in Vegas on March 11th last year, and like as the world was saying we shouldn't be together, so it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I remember in the moment we were kind of like, the optics look really bad, and based on what we're hearing, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. And looking back at it from a 2021 lens, it's like, wow, and I'm sure they actually didn't they make a statement about it? Maybe
They did,
not.
I believe. Yeah. Yep.
So they knew it was kind of funky, and like I remember Post Malone had a big show
In Denver at the Pepsi Center. Yeah. The other thing about that is crazy to me is 311 has taken over a day on the calendar just because of the name of their band, which is kind of cool. You can point towards that day every year. They do a big concert typically, or a couple of day concert, festival type thing. Typically, it's a great marketing ploy, and that's probably a day that they make their nut on for the year. So it's hard to be like, yeah, we're going to cancel this as you're ready to do it in Las Vegas for a 3-day stint.
yeah, you're right. That's like their big cash grab. I wonder what other bands could do that. 3-6 Mafia, March 6th.
Yep.
16th. Oh, 3, yeah.
16th.
The other one is January 12th, 112, the R&B group.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yep.
funny you say 112.
Big missed opportunity there.
Room 112 where the players dwell. Our episode 39 guest was singing 112's Cupid on Instagram either today or yesterday. So if it's a couple days out now, but go find it. Maddie Arsenal from A Lost Horde singing some 112.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I love some 90s R&B.
Oh yeah.
So in honor of the 1 year anniversary, we did check out we listened back to that first episode just to see, again, through 53 episodes, in our pocket, just to kind of listen to it. And I'm smirking because I listened to it and I almost look at it as like a basement demo, a garage demo on the 4-track. And now we've upgraded to a studio and that type of thing. And I was impressed, and I was like not impressed at the same time. But
Yeah.
did you listen to it, Nate?
Well, it's hard not to self-critique, right? I mean, I still do it on every episode that we put out. But that one, it was our first debut episode. And I laugh as soon as the episode starts because I just sound so corny at the beginning, like, welcome to Patio Slave.
Yeah. And you were like, it's Friday the 13th, like 1 month.
And you sound like you're in a well too.
Yeah. I was in a transition.
Yeah.
I was
sound so much
transitioning,
better
right?
now.
Yeah, I was transitioning. I was moving. COVID was starting. And we've never done a podcast, right? So there's that.
We use Skype too, which we've switched from that. Sorry, Skype, but they won't be sponsoring the Patio Slave podcast anytime soon. But yeah, they the whole thing was funny to listen back to. I listened back to it too this week, just to kind of gain some perspective. It's been a year, the COVID year too, no less. So the whole thing has been kind of interesting to see what we've done, squirreled away in our homes to get people on that want to talk about music. And to listen to what we were then and how anybody said yes to us after that is just funny to me.
Yeah. I'm happy we can all laugh too, because it's us and it's out there, and it's just like, yeah, man, it is what it is. That's our like you said, that's our demo. Got to start somewhere.
I intentionally held off on listening to it until this past week.
Me too.
Because I was just like,
Yeah.
you know what? I knew the sound quality wasn't good. I knew that it wasn't edited. I knew that we didn't really have the cadence down. And we didn't, like, I think we prepped, but we didn't, I think we did one dry run. You know what I mean? We had one,
Yeah.
like, all right, this sounds good. Let's roll type of thing. And now it's a little more structured. The sound quality's better. Our flow is better, I think.
Twan kills the edit every week. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. A little behind the podcast, I know, introspective is the fact that we didn't edit before. We were like anti-editing. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was just like, no, let's just let it ride. It's gonna be natural.
Yep.
We realized over time, like, well, we fucking lose connection sometimes. So
Yeah, right. That's the one thing, especially with the digital COVID era. Like, internet's crap out every now and then, and we have to clean that up. Because if we just left in, 6 minutes of internet not working, that would be a tough hang for a listen. So yeah, it's not like we cut and paste every little thing about the podcast. Most of what you hear is what you get. And actually, if you listen back to the one, there are pieces of that are fluid and it sounds cool. And it's like, you can see something's coming here. But yeah, it does take some time, and you got to clean some stuff up here and there, because you never know with tech. Is that a segue?
Segway King? Are you the Segway King, Tone?
One night only. Tech. I'm talking about Kings of Leon, not just Kings of Leon. Kings of Leon releasing their new album last week as a non-fungible token, an internet crypto voodoo, whatever the hell you want to call it, right?
Yeah. So they actually, I think I saw this on Rolling Stone. They said that they're going to be the first band in the history of ever to release an album as an NFT. It's their new album, When You See Yourself, which I did listen to. And are we giving takes here?
On the album?
yeah, do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did people come for the takes or the tangents? I don't know which one. I listened to it. It didn't hit me like Mechanical Bull hit me, although that was the case with Walls. Walls came out in, 2016? That was a slow grower for me. This has potential, but I don't think it's going to be one of my favorite King songs. It's got a couple standout tracks. I think the artwork was very just freshman graphic design major, throw it together in an hour type of thing, which I like the... Yeah, hopefully we'll still get those guys on someday. But I don't know. I think like Mechanical Bull had some like soul to it, and was it Only by the Night?
Yep.
And some of their others, like, it's a little more thoughtful, and I don't know. It'll grow on me, but first listen was better than okay, but wasn't great.
I'm agreeing with your album art take.
Yeah.
All right, as you were.
Nate, you listened to it, right?
I did. Yeah. I checked it out. You guys were so kind to let me and everyone to let me unplug. I kind of took a little road trip up north to Big Sur, and the album dropped during that time. So it's actually one of my favorite road trip bands. Kind of paints the picture perfectly with the scenery. So I think maybe I'm a little biased because we're both fans to one, but I think I kind of give it some real depth on the trip. Like, I'm going to just give it this concentration. It's going to paint the picture for this amazing scenery, and to kind of like amplifies the songs. So for that, like, I've given it, more stars.
Yep.
But to your point, like, they're so solid. Like, some of those albums are so solid, Mechanical Bull in particular, like you said, that I'm not sure where it stacks up yet, but I was impressed nonetheless. But I think it's one of those like singers like Caleb, like his voice is so strong and the band is so tight that like I don't really dislike anything they do. But at the same time, maybe it's not as standout as like Mechanical Bull really is like untouchable. So I liked it a lot. Yeah, there's a few tracks that stand out on there. I'll have to listen to it again, but because I gave it that special attention, I was able to fully digest it, and I liked it. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I couldn't give it that time the last couple of days with what was going on in my world, but I have listened to the singles and I liked the singles. I'm less of a fan of this band than you two are, I think, but I don't dislike them. So I guess I'm a little more passive in that regard. I do think they're talented. They do put out solid albums. There's never like, oh, that's just not good, I don't want to listen to that again. They're not that type of band. They're a band that comes at it with, a cohesive record a lot of times that will either grow on you if it's one of those times like Walls. I would agree with that. Walls had one really good track, I think, at the outset, and then I was more into it as I listened to it, and I think that happens with a lot of their records. So like this could be something that 3 months from now you're like, man, I'm still spinning that. I'm surprised, but here it is, still happening.
No, I think it will be for me. It's funny, Nate. Like on my first listen, I was like, this is not Mechanical Bull. Not in terms of sound, but in terms of like quality of an album. Like we've talked about it a million times. You're benchmarking these bands by their best album, which is not, I don't know if it's not fair, but it's like you're doing yourself a disservice because you're automatically dismissing the album. But I will say that track, Claire and Eddie, is the best song on the album. It's near the end, and it's a slower song, and I feel like those are the ones I really like the most out of them. Yeah, I'll keep spinning it, and I'm sure it'll grow on me, just like Walls did.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Kings of Leon too is because they're pretty mainstream, they're pretty popular, but they have the roots coming from Nashville and just real musicianship. That I think that's why it gets lost in the shuffle. It's like you're aware of them because they're a big name, but you forget that they're actually genuine, like not classically trained, but definitely classically trained in the sense that they kind of grew up playing instruments probably since childhood. There's a good documentary on them that kind of showcases that. Yeah, I think it gets confused because of that. And then you look at the fact that they released this album on NFT. Like they're not really like a technological band. They're like almost like a country band. So there's a lot of like, I don't know, disconnection on, wait, this band is huge, but they're country, but they're putting out like a digital token album. Like there's a lot of ways to get lost in what Kings of Leon's trying to represent, I think.
So you mentioned NFT, and that's the piece of this that I'm really interested in. Two things. Yeah. You're right. I don't see them as the first band to do this. I would have totally picked a solo hip hop act, somebody like Drake or one of those mumble rap or Future. You know what I mean? Like I could have seen that from the NBA culture because NBA right now is huge in the NFT world at the moment, even though it's who knows what's going on there. But yeah, for them to be the band doing it, that's interesting. And obviously that came from somewhere at the label or somebody is saying, hey, these are hot right now. Let's market the shit out of this and say that we're releasing the first ever NFT record, which stands for non-fungible token, which is essentially you can't hold it in your hand. It's a digital thing, right? It's a cryptocurrency type thing. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's basically, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's basically like a digital certificate of ownership of a digital asset. So people collect sports cards. That's a physical asset, physical collectible. You get art. You get physical artwork. This is basically all that in a digital form, where all the transactions are basically logged through blockchain. If I've lost you, I'm not surprised because it lost me. So
yeah, I just want to throw this out there. I have this box of Nate's stuff sitting next to me when Nate's nerdery that we've done in the past. I wish that stuff was an NFT right now. Get this shit out of here, bro. I'm just kidding. I love that shit.
Free storage. Yeah, but another thing about the NFT is that it's a limited item, right? And that there's a certain amount of the NFTs that include, I think, some kind of like lottery to get 4 tickets for every tour for the rest of your life or something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So each one they're all one of one. You know what I mean? Because they all have unique, in quotes, using serial numbers. But yeah, you're right. There's special album package, those live show perks. There were exclusive audio visual art. So if you're a Kings fanboy, like this is perfect for you because I don't know if they'll do the serial number thing, but it could be a big win if you're a collector, but also if you're looking for an investment.
Do we know how much it cost?
No clue. I
couldn't find it either. Yeah. Because I mean, if you're buying it and you have a chance to get into a lottery for all these live shows or live show perks on top of live shows, you would think it probably costs more than your $10 to buy a record. So, or even just the digital art piece of it that's going into it. So you're just getting that extra 9th grade Photoshop stuff to be your own one of one or whatever. That piece of it has to cost more than your regular $10 record, digital record would cost.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that, but I know it's 4 tickets to every tour for the rest of the band's legacy or whatever. So you think
but
about
that's
that.
just the sweepstakes, right? That's not everybody that buys this. That you're entered. If you get the NFT, you're entered into that sweepstakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Which is a huge incentive, though. Like you said, like investment wise, that's one for you and your spouse, and an extra set of tickets. Like, and you could essentially resell those tickets for whatever. I think it said front row tickets.
Bring your kids.
Bring your kids. Yeah, exactly.
Have these gone on sale as of today, 3/11?
I don't know.
Because
That's a good question.
I mean, from an investment perspective, if it's reasonable, I might
It
try to
might
buy
be
one.
worth hanging on to. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even if all you get is the NFT, and then down the road you have the first ever NFT record.
So then I can
Shit.
look at the.
Should we pause? Should we pause right now and go buy it?
Twan's all about investing. I love it.
So I could look at the digital version of the freshman digital
Art.
digital art major version of the CD cover.
We do better job than they do. I think. I'm not gonna lie. We could have pulled that off. I could have pulled that cover off. You could have pulled that cover off. It wouldn't have been that hard. Take a picture.
Pragmatics.
Put your hand up on the wall. You get the fucking shadow puppets on the wall. Come on, guys.
Well, I was looking at the name of the album, When You See Yourself, and I was trying to think of like if there's a play on that I'm just not. There's a deeper meaning to it, and maybe there is, but I don't know. It seems kind of lazy.
It's a little convoluted, I think.
Yeah.
I think we want more depth because the band sounds like they have that depth. So when like the title's not as deep, you're just like, what does that mean? What does walls mean?
Right.
Is it wall like the wall in Mexico? That one?
And then
I hope not.
the imagery there
no.
was just like their heads like in water, submerged in water. I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but
It looked like milk. It didn't even look like water.
Yeah, that's something funky. I don't know.
Back to the NFT piece. If you look at it on Apple Music, the record on Apple Music, the art does change. It's like two pictures of, you can see like a drum kit shadow and a person shadow, and then the other two guys. It does move, so it does kind of fit with what they're going for here. So that's interesting, I guess.
It's funny we're critiquing like we know what we're talking about. I mean, Frank Maddox knows what we're talking about, but
We should call him.
yeah.
And that
What do you
that
think?
extends our Frank Maddox streak from Nate to 13 straight episodes, I think.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He's a good dude. I enjoy him too.
I mean, it's everywhere, right? There's a tequila now, Deftones tequila that just dropped.
Oh, yeah.
I
Did
mean,
you shoehorn that in, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to. I mean, that logo is just, it keeps showing up everywhere I go.
Nah, it's
Guys, it's the Rolling Stones logo.
But I think like the bigger story here is like this is a whole new world for music, obviously well beyond music, sports, movies, actors, actresses, whatever. Anyone with a following or any franchise, you name it. But in terms of music, like I was thinking about it today, like what would be NFTs that I would be interested in? Like if it was a video, for example, it's like Tim from Rage climbing the stanchion.
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? At the Video Music Awards, like what would that go for? And would I want? Would I want it?
And there are only 1,000 of them, right? And
Are we spending that big bucks for those? I don't like who's buying this stuff.
people would buy that stuff, though. Absolutely. Like you say, okay, bands that already do a really good job of recording their live shows, and at least the audio, but definitely, I'm sure there are plenty that have done video for a while now, and we just haven't seen it. That's where this is headed. So, Nate's favorite band, Pearl Jam, they've already been kind of doing this in a not in the NFT world necessarily, but if you're part of the 10 Club, you get a single every Christmas on a 7-inch every Christmas on vinyl. You get access to a lot of the live soundboard recordings of shows. You can purchase those. Sometimes they come in various tangible aspects, but they've kind of been doing this on that front. They are perfectly positioned to do this on the NFT front if they have a lot of that stuff, and not everything has been shown to the world, I'm sure.
Good call on the live stuff. I mean, any show that I go to that I'm thinking of where they record the show. I don't know if you've been to any of these venues where they record the show and you go into like the lobby to grab a beer and you can still see the show on like a small little TV screen. I mean, all that stuff doesn't get released. I mean, it's just kind of like in an archive somewhere. It's just money sitting on the table, really. So good point on the live recordings.
Slap a serial number on it, make it digital crypto, and boom, sell it to your fans.
Yeah.
I was at that show. I want to buy that.
When I was at the height of my record collecting, which was 03 to 08 in that time frame, it was all limited 7 inches. It was all record release records with a spray painted, very a spray painted cover, and it was all numbered, and obviously like all the Record Store Day stuff. So like, actually, Record Store Day is the perfect proof of concept for this.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
It's perfect. Like people line up for this shit.
Well, I mean, there have been people buying and collecting music things for years, and they've been tangible. Same thing for sports. Same thing for all different kinds of nerdery, right? So this is only going to, if it works, proliferate there. Like you're going to see, okay, here's the intro to some concert from Deftones. On the first show from the first leg of the tour, they had a digital camera or an iPhone even, because those things record like crazy now, pointed at Chino, and he did something crazy, and boom, I'm going to sell that moment to a hardcore Deftones fan. And a lot of them would buy it if they had the means.
Yeah, this is a whole new world. Like this is a whole new revenue stream for whoever owns the music. So again, I think, you can say what you want about Kanye, but his preaching of owning your masters and all that stuff, like, geez, the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless. And I don't know if we're going to get to it yet, but this does tie into our next topic that we're going to chat about.
Before we get to that, I have something.
Oh yeah, no, we're not done yet.
Okay, good, yeah.
But yeah, I think this is going to be bigger than like even Taylor Swift selling her catalog or someone selling it on her behalf or whatever for $300 million. I feel like that's going to be peanuts. Like I just looked, Kings of Leon sale, NFT sale earns $2 million bucks. They generated.
Wow.
And
that was just in a week?
In a weekend.
Damn.
Yep, in a weekend. And all that is the money, the digital aspect of that album being sent to somebody with a crypto password, a serial number, and a chance to win live tickets to live shows. And they made $2 million in 6 days, whatever it is.
Unbelievable. Yeah. When you compare that to physical goods sales to revenue, because that's pure revenue, right? I take it. Well, I mean, we don't really know.
When they got to give away the tickets, which is going to cost them some money. But yes, it's probably, 75% of that's going back to them.
Yeah. Well, even the tickets are essentially comp tickets. So there's no cost there really, because everyone gets, as we've talked about on here, artist holds. So, man, yeah, that's big money.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
So the theme of our episode right now, and I just came up with this on the spot as we were doing this. Imagine a year ago, us talking about Kings of Leon putting out a digital album that they made $2 million on that wasn't through Spotify or anything like that. It's a non-fungible token. Can you even imagine that?
No. I mean, there's digital certificates, digital assets. I'd be like, you mean like a stock? Like, what are you talking about,
Yeah. The world has changed a lot in the last 365 days.
I'll say even in the last week. I mean,
it's true.
Really, this started in Q1 of this year. I mean, all this NFTs and digital assets and things like that. It's hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around, but there's certain analogies that it kind of sinks in. It's like, well, I use like sports cards. It's like, well, you only own a piece of paper, like,
right?
You know what I mean?
With a couple of etchings on it, maybe to make it more, its own thing. Like if it's got a number on it, or if it's got a certain color coded, whatever. There's only a certain amount of those. You own one of them. Yeah.
It's not only that, it's like trying to keep that in pristine condition. As you guys both know, as you mentioned, Tony, you're both holding my inventory of nerdery. A lot of that stuff's signed. And it's like, man, it's hard to keep that stuff in great condition. It'd be worth a whole lot more if it was an NFT, untouchable basically. So I think this has been a futuristic year. It's definitely not going to slow down. And it kind of goes to the point, like anyone that was paying attention to like cryptocurrency like 5 years ago, I have a bunch of friends that used to like bug me about it. Like, fuck, you guys are right. Shit's happening right now.
Speaking of shit happening, Jay-Z got paid, right? He got the bag.
Jay-Z.
That's my segue. Not as good as the last one.
I was going to say, water's wet, the sky's blue. Jay-Z got paid.
Yeah, that's just what he does. He gets paid. He got paid. He sold Tidal to Jack of Twitter fame and Square fame. He sold it to Square, right?
Yes. Yeah, so Square, the financial payments company, they provide, online payment services. Cash App is under that umbrella. So yeah, any a digital exchange of currency. And I think actually you can buy stocks and stuff through Cash App, which is a subsidiary of Square.
And cryptos, right? Bitcoin, etc.
Yep. What was it? 300 million?
Something like that. Yeah.
So I don't know, what did Jay-Z, what was his initial investment?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'll look that up.
I don't know the initial investment, but I know when they, first debuted Tidal, it was basically a partnership with exclusives for some pretty huge names artist wise, right? So
Yeah, Jay-Z, Kanye,
Kanye, like Beyonce, a whole roster of
Daft Punk, I think.
they were on there. Yep. So I'm assuming that contract comes with this acquisition. So all those artists, I don't know, I don't want to say masters, but they're kind of tied into that contract for whatever tenure that that encompasses. So it's weird though because I don't think Tidal's ever been profitable. I mean, they're going against like Spotify, Apple Music, and everything. So there's definitely something behind the curtain that's worth it for Jack Dorsey to jump on this.
I don't have an initial, but it looks like 4 years ago or so, Sprint bought in 33% for 200 million.
Wow.
So they've made some money on this. And at the time of it coming out, it was billed as like the audiophile, the person who wants to hear the vinyl level quality of a streaming service. Tidal was it. Like Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, all those were good, but this was better. This was the highest quality you're going to get, and it cost more. And I'm sure that's because their servers were bigger, because the size of the files are bigger, et cetera, et cetera. Not to get too deep into the weeds there, but that was what it was billed as. And they got all these heavy hitters together, Jay-Z, Kanye, Daft Punk, et cetera, to throw out, this is what we're going to do. And I remember signing up for the free trial for Kanye's The Life of Pablo because it was only released there for the first week. And he just kept not putting it out and not putting it out. And I was like, you dick, you did this just so that I would have to pay for the month. That 7-day free trial is gonna lapse, and I'm gonna have to pay for the month to listen to Life of Pablo, which I end up doing. But he won, and he was right. But yeah, it was an interesting play at the time, and I don't think it ever really caught on for the mainstream, right?
Yeah, I read today it's just 5% of the total market share. So compared to Spotify and Apple Music. But the other differentiator was it's supposedly the most artist friendly. The artists get the most revenue per stream, most cents per stream, whatever it is, or sub-cents or fraction of a penny, whatever it is. So there's incentive for the artist to get on there. And obviously, like I said, the exclusive stuff. What was your guys' initial take when you saw this news? Like, did you get it? Did you scratch your head?
Yeah, I was a little perplexed on it, basically because, like you said, Tidal's they have a small market share on the music streaming services, so it just seems a little, I don't know, something doesn't really add up. But like you were saying, Tone, based on, this is an artist direct type service that's, apparently superior sound quality. Well, Neil Young did the same thing with Pono or whatever it was called, and that was a big failure. So I feel like it always ties back to the fact that, we talked about it on here before, which is the artist trying to regain control, maybe prematurely, and knowing that that's not really your specialty, and therefore it may not succeed. So selling it to Jack Dorsey, who obviously is a tech titan with Twitter and everything, to take control of Tidal and bring it to the next level, I started to see it like light at the end of the tunnel through that lens. Like, okay, you're handing it off to someone that knows what they're doing. So maybe this is when Tidal actually takes off based on the infrastructure behind Jack Dorsey and what he's accomplished, thus far.
At first, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why would Jack want to purchase this when it's the least subscribed to, the smallest market share of any streaming service? But then I got to think, maybe there's something else at play here, and it kind of ties back into our NFT conversation that we just had. I could see a world where, the Cash App / you're going to go to, but either using that or using Square, you're going to go to an artist page, and they're the one running all of the behind the scenes, marketplace aspect, and you're paying it. It's all digital. It's all easy. Not that things aren't that way now, but they're going to clean that up for artists, and artists are going to maybe see and hear, okay, it happens a lot easier and better with this company. Why am I working with Spotify if I own my own stuff? Now more of the money's coming to me, and I'm just paying them for the infrastructure of the website type of deal, and how I can get the money to me. I'm going to do that. And it lends itself to more of the digital aspect, which we're going to live in as things go forward. I mean, we're already there, but it's going to continue to proliferate and be bigger, and more of these needing digital pieces, digital serial numbers, and whatever crypto stuff to make this all work.
Yeah, I think that's. In fact, I was reading that's kind of one of the plays that he's kind of getting at, which is he's with Square, he's allowed transactions to be as seamless as possible and basically have a seller's marketplace, and that's what I think you'll see. I think you'll see on an artist page and Tidal. I've never used Tidal, but what I think you'll see is basically, and you see it some on Spotify, but you'll see basically a digital marketplace. Just what you were saying, Tone. Like merch, tickets, NFTs, it could be almost like a cameo thing. Like, all right, you listen to this artist, you're really digging him. Hey, send your buddy a happy birthday message from, I don't know, the Daft Punk dudes or something like that. You know what I mean? Anything like that where there's an upsell. It'll be upsell galore. And the other thing I was thinking about is like, why not have Twitter buy it? You know what I mean? Somehow embed it there. But here's the reality. He can still do that. He can still do that on Twitter. He doesn't have to,
He owns
just,
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He can still do that, even though it's under the Square umbrella. It's like, well, all those are under his umbrella, right? Because is he still with Twitter?
Yep.
He's still with Twitter. Yeah. It's an interesting play. I don't know if he can turn Tidal around. I don't know. I think there'll be better margins because of the streamlined process that he already has with Square, that whole infrastructure. And then bigger upsell, more upsell, because there's this opportunity there, and Spotify's gonna try to get their hands on it, or they're probably already in the works of that.
Yeah, it's basically giving Spotify a run for their money, right? At the end of the day, like Spotify can't take all the market share, so someone's got to be, a duopoly, I guess, to counter that. And like you said, with Twitter, Jack owning Twitter and Square, I mean, he can basically just make Tidal trend on Twitter all day if he wants to, right? I mean, there's no policing that. It's all self-policed.
Right.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. That's exactly what I was getting at.
Good point. You forget Apple Music, Nate. There already is a duopoly, and then YouTube Music kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
There's a few out there. And I think if you go back to episode 1, we even talked about Napster being owned by, was it Rhapsody?
Yeah.
And how they were at the time one of the better streaming services for artists. So Jack is now throwing his gauntlet down a year later, and that's how I'm going to bring it back to episode 1 every time tonight, guys.
I love it, man.
Flashback. The other thing I read, because I did a little digging on this, because again, I was confused and perplexed at the start, but this is another way for art to further the artist's connection with Cash App. So Cash App is big in the hip hop community. If you've ever watched like Joe Budden's Pull Up interviews, they're all sponsored by Cash App. Big hip hop influence there. And Tidal, when I think of Tidal, I think of like the titans of hip hop. You know what I mean? The Jay-Z's,
Yep.
It's to further that connection, which it makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's going to work, but I can see why. I'm connecting the dots of why they're doing this.
It may not work, but right now it's intriguing. It got us to talk about Tidal. It probably got a lot of people to talk about Tidal this week, and it could be the next thing, down the road, because of where there's already a footprint for Square and Cash App, and there's already people using it in that sense. Now maybe there's a little more one-stop shoppiness for it.
I like the connecting the dots, Twan, because that's where I'm at too. Like when I remember seeing the Tidal announcement, they did like a live stream, like all the artists were in the room and people were like zooming in or Skyping in at the time. I think Chris Martin Skyped in and stuff like that. So I think it's too big to fail, mainly because if they have all that roster on board on that initial announcement of Tidal, they're probably all investors. They're probably on the board. You know what I mean? They're not going to let this fail. So maybe the Twitter acquisition was basically like, hey, make this work because it hasn't worked yet, and you have the infrastructure to take it to the moon, basically.
And the other thing too is like, if you're an artist, and it is known, like if you look at the metrics and stuff, Tidal does pay out the most. Maybe that's why they're not profitable. But if you're an artist and you know that your stream, you'll get more money per stream, and there's this digital marketplace for all your shit, you might direct people there, So
Yep.
Who knows? But I don't know. I feel like there's some barrier I'm not thinking about. Otherwise, Spotify would already do this. I think they do it with concert tickets, but I don't know. That's an area I don't know.
I think it literally ties back to Twitter. It's just like the said artist just talks about it on their page with a link back to Tidal and just kind of goes in this like closed circuit,
Yeah.
like go here.
It's a hell of a forum to be in front of people. Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably one of the forums for that and Instagram, I would say, are the two big ones as far as that goes. And I mean, people use Snapchat still a little bit here and there too, but not to that level.
Twitter moves stocks, right? Elon Musk makes that.
Twitter and Reddit
Yeah.
together. Elon plus GameStonk equals cash to the moon, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
The more I think about it, I think they're the right partner for this, because
right.
if Zucks bought it, I mean, I wouldn't touch ever thinking about a Tidal subscription,
Exactly.
It'd be stale, the whole, I'm sorry, but IG is, I don't know, I'm not saying it's a thing of the past, but I think with all the TikToks and Twitter and everything like that, it's just, I don't know, the association with Facebook, I don't know. I'd love to see their daily average users.
I bet it's still really, really high. But how many of those users are going to turn into customers? That's the problem.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Twitter, I think you can probably do a little better with. And this now is being paired with the owner of Twitter, who not necessarily, in so many words that you're going to get to the Twitter aspect of it. So, yeah. I get that. That makes sense to me. There's a lot of dots to connect there, but they see it before we do. I mean, and I think we do a pretty good job of seeing it. I mean, we made this kind of prediction a few weeks back, maybe a couple months back, where it was going to end up, sorry, Spotify, we own everything ourselves. Come subscribe to Jay-Z on Tidal and you get everything. You pay for Jay-Z for $6.99 a month in perpetuity and you get everything.
You get a monthly NFT. You get.
Mm-hmm. And here you go. And then you just hope that Joe Schmo loves Jay-Z and wants to subscribe, or whoever the new hot thing is, whatever the new music that's coming out that's massive. Okay, now you got to go through this, and they've laid the groundwork with this acquisition. I think so. Could be that way.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I mean, it's basically watch the throne, right? It's Jack Dorsey versus Zucks. I mean, here's the biggest plot twist of ever. Like, what if everything just becomes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tidal? I guess that is like the definition of a monopoly, but it's not really far-fetched. I mean, everything's consolidating in real time.
Call me old school, but I do like I do like grabbing the record and putting it on. I do
know.
like going to the show and seeing people in person. There's still a world for that. It's for us boomers now, but
I was gonna say we're old, man.
Yeah, we're old, right?
I will say though, I haven't dug into the numbers. Like I know they're not profitable. At least they weren't in 2018. But like 300 million for Tidal doesn't seem crazy.
No,
especially when you think of if it's true that they have captured 5% of market share, then that's not crazy. I mean, Spotify's market cap is what, 50 billion,
right?
Or it's gone up from there. 55 billion.
Yep.
So do the math. I mean, I think he just pulled a fast one, Jack. I think he
may have. Yeah,
he sniffed that out.
That's only 300 million. Yep.
I think everyone's happy until it doesn't work.
Oh, and if it doesn't, it wasn't like it cost him that much money. 300 million is life-changing money for us, but for Jack, it's like, okay, what else can I snag?
Right.
Basically.
But it would be cool. Like, think about you're listening to, I don't know, Spanish love songs on Tidal, and you're listening and you're vibing, and there's a marketplace right there linked to. It's not even a link. It's embedded. It's merch. It's tickets. It's whatever the hell you want. You
just boiled it down perfectly. I'm listening to Spanish love songs. I need to leave app to go buy something on their website. Oh shit, they don't have it there. I got to go to a Discogs to try to find it there. Oh shit, they don't have it there. I'm on eBay. Oh shit, they don't have it there. Or it's all in one place. That's what's going to happen. Yep. You're right.
And like, what I was thinking about also is like they own the payment, the whole payment infrastructure. We're like
exactly.
Wow.
So they're taking a little piece off everyone.
Yeah, a little piece off everyone, and it's their own. So you know what I mean?
Yep.
What were you gonna say, Nate?
I was going to say this kind of ties into the whole Ticketmaster restructure with streaming shows for a sold out show, right? So it's just additional income, additional tickets sold to a live stream show that's probably going to funnel through something like this. They're going to need some kind of partner, right? So maybe this is a precursor to that as well.
Maybe I could see that.
Yeah.
I could also see that just being Ticketmaster being like, we're going to put up, or Live Nation put up their own marketplace, and this is where you get tickets. Sorry, we're not selling to you Tidal. We're not selling to you Jack to do that. We're doing it here. Now they may get forced, but they're big enough right now that I wouldn't give that back to anybody. The amount of money they make on the way in, and then if someone wants to sell them on the way out, if they can't go, it doesn't make sense for them to give that up. They would have to be in dire straits monetarily to do that.
Well, I'm not even thinking about the fact that they're giving it up. It's more of an ancillary service. Like you're on Tidal and you're like, hey, do you want to listen to Spanish love songs? Cool, here it is. Do you want to watch them live? Cool. Do you want to watch it live in real time? Cool. Here's the link through Ticketmaster, through Live Nation. Pay the additional fee. So there's a kind of almost like a cut, right? Ticketmaster is again the middleman.
They would be
Tidal.
they'd be selling to Tidal for that, but I'm not sure. Yeah,
I want to hear the song. I want to hear it live. I want to hear it live right now on tour in Tennessee right now. I mean, hell yeah, right? That's basically like live podcasting. Cool. Prediction?
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys ever watch like Shark Tank, it's all about customer acquisition costs. It's all about sell through. It's like the best chance I'm going to buy a band shit is if I'm listening to them and there's options to buy right in front of my face. That's at the very peak. Or if I'm,
and that's what this is.
I mean, this is the equivalent of going to a record store, hearing the band while you're there, and be like, all right, maybe I do want, the new Wonder Years album.
That's how I got into Atmosphere in 2003.
It works, right?
I walked into Bull Moose. I was like, oh man, were playing Lucy Ford over the speakers, and I was like, damn, this is kind of cool. All right, I walked over to the Atmosphere spot in the underground hip hop label and grabbed God Loves Ugly and walked out.
The rest is history.
I paid for it, but yeah.
I love it. The record store sommelier.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Which if we do that occasionally, week to week with our podcast playlist, so go check those out.
Actually,
and Sunday spins.
Funny story about that. I got a text from one of our buddies. He goes, I was at a local package store picking up beer, and I hear music I like on the speakers. So I asked the kid at the counter who it was, and it was Title Fight. So he's like, now I like Title Fight.
Exactly. And that's what happens, man. That's how that works. Cool. All right. Do we have a segue for this last piece?
So Nate, you were saying if you were on Tidal and you want to you want to watch the band live in real time. Well, what's better than watching a band through your screen?
Nice.
Yeah. Actually,
terrible segue.
Segue king. No, it was good. That was good. Yeah,
I prompted you, so that's why.
It's actually seeing the band live, which we talked about with Lauren Wayne last week, GM of the State Theater in Portland, Maine, which is actual live shows, which is weird to talk about in like retrospect because it did happen at one time, and it seems like it's coming back to fruition here, both in Texas and Mississippi. They have shows booked, right? That's crazy.
They're open. Texas especially. They're wide ass open. They're like, let's do this. We're no masks, no nothing. I don't even care if you've had a vaccine. We're just back to normal, which is stupid, but whatever. Different story for a different day. My point there is, they're opening their venues. If you're gonna go play a show, I guess if you're gonna be a band, you're gonna be in the safest spot on stage around people you've been around. But shows are back. I mean, it's not even just in those places. I saw a flyer for a show in Vegas in the fall. I saw a couple flyers for the band Goose, which we've mentioned months ago now. Our buddy Nate, different Nate in North Carolina, big fan of them. They're playing socially distanced shows in May in like Tennessee and Maryland and a few places like that. So people are really ready to get back out there is what I'm seeing.
In these two states, Mississippi and Texas, was 100% full capacity this month.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
Full capacity. They've lifted the mask mandate, as we just talked about. So yeah, I mean, if you're in those regions, live music's back for you. I'm kind of jealous.
I'm jealous,
but it's it's a little early, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, are they disregarding science, or are they just kind of like whatever? I don't know. You have more insight there, Tone.
Yeah, Nate is alluding to the fact that I work in the medical field and have
Well,
been.
because you said that's dumb. I'm like, well, you
It's
know.
dumb. No, it is. It's dumb. It's not just, oh, hey, people are getting vaccinated, numbers are starting to dip a little bit. Let's open everything. No, that's not how this works, man. Like we still gotta like follow it. Now, I don't want to be locked down forever. Trust me. I want this to go away as much as the next person. I'm ready to go to a concert. It has been like 17 months since I've been to one, so I'm ready. But I want to do it correctly. And I don't want to get back out there too soon with a bunch of people who are in the younger demographic who are just going to pass it around to other people and maybe get somebody else sick and die. So let's wait a little bit. But different story for a different day. Not wanting to get too political here. I do think that this is a good thing. I do think we're heading in the right direction as a country. I think things are going better, and we're probably, for us, and maybe a little bit sooner for you, Nate, being outside and having more access to outside, maybe early summer, early to midsummer for a place like Southern Maine to have shows outside at least when the weather's good and we can pull that off at somewhere like Thompson's Point, mentioned last week with Lauren Wayne. I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's polarizing. I only brought you in because you have a little more insight.
You just wanted to hear me rant.
I just want to hear you rant. But I mean, I'm excited too. I mean, I want to go to live shows. I mean, and California, like you said, like there's more outdoor space here, live outdoor venues and so forth. And California's got a few too, like System of a Down concert scheduled for I think October.
Mhm.
That I was originally going to check out last year. That looks like it's back on. A festival I go to every year called the Ohana Festival is everything I'm seeing on their socials says it's slated to be on schedule for September actually in Dana Point, which is in Orange County. So that's Eddie Vedder's music festival. So it's like, okay, if this is happening, like we talked about with Lauren, like I'm gonna buy the tickets and just hope for the best. Whether I feel comfortable at that time is a different story. But if it's ready to go, I mean, I'm ready to go. With all things said, but I'll just have to wait. It's almost like an emotional thing, like even if I can go, like if I can race on the Autobahn and go 170 miles an hour, do I really want to? I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
So, but you're right. I'm happy that things are actually, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
It's another one of Nate's analogies that's great. The Audubon one. That's you're spot on, man. Like, yeah, I can go 170, but do I want to die?
Yeah.
You've shifted from the food and restaurant analogies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the more I read about it, I think this is the new norm. I think because okay, best case scenario, they have these shows and nothing happens in terms of spiking of coronavirus cases or whatever. Worst case scenario is something happens, but is that going to be enough for people to cancel things again? I don't know.
I think the spike would need to be big. It would need to be more than just one event, one super spreader, I'm saying in quotation marks, one more than just that. I think you would need to see a steady increase in numbers. That's what we've had happen in the past, right? Where we had a nice, like the state of Maine did really well last summer. Everybody is outside in the state of Maine in the summertime because the weather's good and it's such a short season for us. And our numbers were really good as far as COVID went, even with the tourists, some of the stuff we had still happening. And then it got cold and then people had to go inside and then numbers went up. So we adjusted as a state and weren't allowed to do a lot of stuff. And I think it'll happen again with this. If the numbers continue to go down because we're able to get outside more and we have people getting vaccinated, it's going to get better. Hopefully it stays that way. That's the big question. Does it stay that way?
And I'm pretty sure this is full capacity for indoor and outdoor venues.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Outdoor venues. So like Furnace Fest is coming up. They had shifted the date from last year. It was just announced happening in September, I think, of this year. It's in Birmingham, Alabama, and it's like outside at the Sloss furnaces. And if you can Google it and you can see why it's called Furnace Fest. But that's outside, and I think it's in almost like if you've ever been to Thompson's Point where there's the big outdoor structure where it's underneath. It's huge. I think there's enough room for people to spread out. Like that's one thing, but indoors, full capacity, I don't know. I mean, I could see this backfiring.
Mm-hmm. Right now.
Yeah, for these March shows. And again, it's only a couple. Is it just a couple states?
Yeah, that's like Texas and Mississippi and a few states. It's not everywhere. The rest of this we're talking about is like May, June, July, September, October, that type of thing. So those are hoping that numbers stay down and vaccinations go up and we achieve some sort of herd immunity type thing.
Almost like these states are kind of test market states. Like, let's see how it goes in these secondary
In the
markets.
worst possible way.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like the lab rat type thing. Let's see how this goes, and if it goes well, then we'll open up California, New York, all the states that actually, pull some high revenue. But I don't know how I feel about it. Like we all talk about it. Like I want to go back to a live show so badly. And we talked about with Lauren last week. Like we're gonna buy every ticket to everything, but how soon is too soon, and how late is too late? Like what is safe, what isn't? I mean, like you said, I talked about the Audubon thing. Like you can put your own self at risk. I think that everyone should have their own choice on the kind of risk they want to put themselves in, and that shouldn't be limited on restrictions that may or may not coincide with real data. But at the end of the day, like everyone wants to be safe. You know what I mean? I don't want to go to a Slipknot show and come back and not even know that I'm ill and put other people at risk. So
Right.
I'm trying to be sensible, but at the same time, a little selfish with the fact that like live music is a big part of our life. So I love collecting ticket stubs every year, and I kind of missed a year, so I almost have to double down this year. So
It's funny you say that, Nate. I was reading, I think it was All Press article.
yeah,
And it has some stats. 83% of concert goers have held on to their tickets over the past year.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows you like they want to go. They kept the tickets. The other stat is 64% of fans plan to attend even more concerts than they did before when they return. So people are hungry. You're right. People are starving for this. And I think if they're offering full capacity, you'll see a lot of sellout venues.
People will go to those, especially if they're outdoors. I think I'm trying to put myself in these people's shoes. So if it's an outdoor venue in Texas that I'm familiar with and I know I could be in an area where I'm away from everybody and still enjoy the concert, I'd probably go right now. And that's me being vaccinated saying that. Pre-vaccination, I don't think I would. Indoors, I don't think I would. Even vaccinated right now, I don't think I would, because I wouldn't want to be somebody who, my vaccination worked well enough that I didn't know I had it and gave it to somebody else. So that's where I'd wait. But yeah, the whole thing is a difficult prospect, and it's too bad we don't know enough about it that we can all be on the same page. That's the hard part, is we don't know enough about how this is all going to work. So it's hard to be on the same page. So some people want to go and just be like the trailblazers and the ones who maybe jump the gun and do it a little too soon. But some are a little more cautious, a little more reserved, and want to, wait and see.
Yeah. To your point, Tone, as well, is like it's all about respect. Like I don't want to go and infect other people, but unfortunately, I'm looking at COVID-19 as the precursor to. I hate to say this, but it just seems like logical to think that this is kind of a precursor to maybe more pandemics in the future. So if we don't take this one seriously, then we're really not taking taking other pandemics serious that may have more implications, higher risk. So we almost have to err on the side of caution, the fact that this is almost like a warning sign, like, hey, like the globe's changing. There's a lot of things that are coming at us faster than we know. I'm not saying it's doomsday, but this is a good warning sign. I think if we've learned anything, and we talked about earlier how this is like a year anniversary of this episode, is the world's changed a lot in 12 months, and it always has, but this has been one where we can kind of sit back and watch it change and evolve because we're home more, or we have more time to research, and obviously the power of the internet to get real facts and real data and not have to funnel everything through like a mainstream news source, and realize that like, hey, I really like to do these amazing fun things, especially live music. But at the end of the day, like I can't think about just me, So I want to always err on the side of caution, but at the same time, like realize like, fuck man, we put together this podcast because of our huge appreciation for live music.
Totally.
So it's kind of like a tug of war,
You know what though? So much for those fancy spacesuits, right? We're not gonna.
So much for the space.
We're not gonna.
I was looking forward to it.
Right?
I wasn't.
Or the big
Those looked sweaty
gerbil
and
balls,
hot.
the hamster balls.
Well, I do that, but the spacesuit that we talked about last May or whatever, I don't know, man. I don't want to who knows who was in that first and how sweaty and gross that would be at a concert. But if it meant, okay, if we were right now told this is the only way I can go to shows, I would do it. But if I don't have to, I'm not doing it. It's gross. It grosses me out.
It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be a proactive measure. And I don't think they would invest that much money into something like that, the infrastructure to support mass production of a spacesuit to go to live shows if it wasn't going to work long term. So that's what
Your boy
I mean
Elon would. Your boy Elon would.
Exactly.
Just a flex. Just a flex. I mean,
just a flex. I'm thinking everything has legs in the long run. So
Tidal. You can order your spacesuit to go to the show right here on Tidal.
Right now, branded with your Slipknot patch on the front. Yeah.
Slipknot patch on the front and SpaceX patch on the back.
and we'll record you in the crowd at the show, and you can buy the NFT after. Like this.
Oh man.
Boom. So this whole episode just boils down to we're in the future. This is it.
It's
Basically,
crazy.
We made it. We made it a year out, and here it is, the future.
We just crossed over. It's great.
I mean, we had a lot of predictions, but like the NFT thing, I don't know if anyone saw coming, really,
no,
right?
God, no. Yeah, nope. That's crazy.
That's funny when you said it. Just didn't see it coming. I had like the Dumb and Dumber thing in my head. Didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
Ah.
All right, boys. Yeah, I think that's a good spot right there to wrap her up. This has been a fun one. It's been fun to kind of speculate on the future and talk about the past a little bit with our first episode and kind of weave the two together.
Absolutely. It makes that first episode seem so far away.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a number of reasons. Like you said, the world's changed. The digital world has changed miraculously. And we have improved quite a bit, I think. I think we've gotten a lot better at the craft. And just looking forward to continuing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've changed, right? We've all changed. We've evolved with the times and kind of reached a little bit deeper on what we're trying to say here on the podcast. So it's been a wild ride. I can't believe we're 1 year old. I always look at the episode number like, damn, we're 53, we're old, but no, we're only a year old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that it's been a full calendar year since all of these things have happened. And all of the things we've seen happen in that calendar year are nuts. And I'm excited that I've been able to talk with you boys about it as, things come up every week. And I'm excited for the thing we're talking about a year from now that we're like, nobody saw that coming. Like,
What
how
could
do we
it
even
possibly
get here?
be? I can't even
I don't
think.
know. I don't even want to try.
Not the spacesuits. Dumb.
That's okay. So much for the spacesuits.
All right. That was fun, guys. We will see everyone next week. See ya.
Peace, pod heads.
Cheers. See you guys in the future.